Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are going to break down Azure Kubernetes Service and containers. If you've ever found yourself wondering how these huge, massive applications run so smoothly in the cloud, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're about to demystify the tech that makes it all happen. So let's just start with this question right here. What if your app could run perfectly, anywhere, every single time? Because this question, it gets right to the heart of a huge, huge problem in software development. We've all been there. We've all heard the excuse, well, it works on my machine. The technology we're about to unpack is designed to make that excuse a thing of the past. All right, so how do we actually solve that whole works on my machine problem? Well, it all starts with this one fundamental building block, which is basically a little magic box for your code, the container. At its core, a container is really just a standardized package for software. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a real-world shipping container. It doesn't matter if that shipping container is on a truck, a train, or a massive ship. What's inside is protected, self-contained, and it works the same way everywhere. A software container does the exact same thing for your code, making sure it runs the same way on a developer's laptop as it does on a giant cloud server. And when you hear people talking about building and running these magic boxes, 9 times out of 10, they are talking about Docker. It's become the industry standard tool for creating and managing containers. It's pretty much the language everyone speaks in the world of containerization. Okay, so one container, pretty manageable. But what happens when your app absolutely takes off and you need to run hundreds or, hey, maybe even thousands of them? Trying to manage that fleet of containers by hand, it just becomes impossible. This is where you need a system for, well, orchestrating all that chaos. And that is where Kubernetes, or K8s as you'll often hear it called, comes in. If all those containers are the musicians in an orchestra, then Kubernetes is the conductor. It's the brain that automates the entire operation. So, what does that mean? Well, if a container fails, Kubernetes replaces it instantly. If traffic to your app suddenly spikes, Kubernetes automatically adds more containers to handle the extra load. It manages that entire fleet for you, so you don't have to. But okay, here's the catch. Kubernetes is insanely powerful, but setting it up and managing it from scratch is incredibly complex. It requires a lot of specialized expertise. And this is the exact problem that Azure Kubernetes Service, or AKS, was built to solve. So how does AKS actually structure all this? Let's build it up. It all starts with our container, our little magic box, right? That gets wrapped in something called a pod. Now, a pod is the smallest thing you can deploy in Kubernetes. It can hold one or even a few containers that need to run together. These pods then run on what's called a node, which is really just a virtual machine. And when you group a bunch of these nodes together, they form your cluster. That's the complete, powerful environment for your application. This comparison right here really gets to the core value of AKS. With a do-it-yourself setup, you are responsible for everything. I'm talking about managing the super complex control plane, handling all the cluster updates, patching every single security vulnerability. It is a massive operational burden. With AKS, Azure handles all of that heavy lifting. It's Kubernetes delivered as a service, which means you can finally focus on your app, not the plumbing. So we've covered the what and the how, but now let's talk about the why. Why are so many companies betting on this technology? Let's take a look at the actual real-world payoff. It really all boils down to these key benefits. High availability means your app is resilient and it just stays online, period. Auto-scaling makes sure it can handle any amount of traffic, day or night, without you lifting a finger. It's also the perfect foundation for a modern microservices architecture. Plus, it plugs right into your development pipelines for way faster releases through what we call CI/CD. And because it's so efficient with resources, it almost always leads to significant cost optimization. It's a win-win-win. Of course, none of this power really matters if it isn't secure, right? When you're running critical applications, security is absolutely paramount. So let's take a look at how AKS builds security in from the ground up. See, AKS isn't just powerful. It's built with security at its absolute core. It integrates with Azure Active Directory for secure sign-on. It uses role-based access control, or RBAC, to let you define exactly who can do what. It lets you lock down network traffic with policies and private clusters. And it even offers advanced threat protection with Microsoft Defender for containers. It's a really comprehensive security package. And really, if you're going to take one thing away from our explainer today, let it be this. It all boils down to this single sentence. With AKS, you get all the incredible power, the flexibility, and the scalability of Kubernetes, but Microsoft manages the underlying complexity and the operational burden for you. This frees up your teams to focus on what they do best, building amazing applications. So there you have it. We've gone all the way from a single software package to a fully managed, secure, and massively scalable application platform in the cloud. We've covered all the essential building blocks. The only question left is, now that you know the fundamentals, what will you build? Thanks so much for watching.